Hello, students. Welcome back. Once again, this is Class 7 Science, Chapter 1 Nutrition in Plants. In this video, I will be discussing all the NCERT questions along with their solutions. Let's start with question number 1. Why do organisms need to take food? Answer: all organisms need food. Number 1, to get energy. Number 2, for growth and development. Number 3, to regulate all body functions. Number 4, for repair and maintenance of body. Question number 2. Distinguish between a parasite and a saprotroph. Answer: to answer this question, we have made a table. On one side, we will be listing down the points related to parasite. On the other side, we will list down the points related to saprotrophs. Point number 1. The non-green plants that obtain their food from some other green plants are called parasitic plants. On the other hand, the non-green plants which obtain their food from dead and decaying plants and animals are called saprophytes. Point number 2. The parasitic plants absorb food from the root or the stem of host plant. On the other side, saprophytes releases enzymes which break down the complex compounds of decaying matter into simple ones. These simple compounds are absorbed by the saprophytes. Point number 3. Few examples of parasite: dodder or cuscuta and epidenthus. Whereas few examples of saprophytes: fungi such as molds and mushrooms. Point number 4. Here, the pictures of the examples are given. Question number 3. How would you test the presence of starch in leaves? Answer: to test the presence of starch, we need to perform an experiment. First, let us look at the setup. Take 2 potted plants of the same kind. Keep one in the dark or in a black box for 72 hours and the other in sunlight. Perform the iodine test with the leaves of both the plants. Now, leave the pot which was earlier kept in the dark undisturbed for 3 to 4 days and perform the iodine test again on its leaves. In this experiment, the procedure to perform iodine test would be to put iodine solution on the leaf. Diagrammatically, let us now understand the steps to perform iodine test. Starting with step number 1. Boiling of leaf in water. Step number 2. Boiling of leaf in alcohol. Alcohol is also known as ethanol. This step is carried out to decolorize or destrain the chlorophyll. Moving further to step number 3, leaf is kept in cold water. After performing this step, the decolorized leaf will be observed. Lastly, the starch test will be performed with the help of iodine solution. To carry out this step, with the help of dropper, few drops of iodine solution are poured on the leaf. After performing the following steps, this would be the observation. Blue-black color will be observed on the leaves of the plant kept in sunlight, which indicates the presence of starch. Whereas blue-black color will not be observed on the leaves of the plant kept in the dark room. This indicates the absence of starch. You can see the differences in the diagram. Question number 4. Give a brief description of the process of synthesis of food and green plants. Answer. Photosynthesis is the food making process in green plants using raw materials like water, carbon dioxide, sunlight, and chlorophyll. To represent the process, we can write it in the form of equation as well. Here we will be writing the reactants on the left hand side and the product on the right hand side. Water, carbon dioxide, in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, produces glucose and liberates oxygen. After learning about the definition and equation of photosynthesis, let us now quickly look at the diagrammatic representation of the same. Starting with point number 1. The plant draws up water, which is represented as H2O through its roots. In the diagram, we can see the circle labeled as number 1. Moving further, point number 2. The leaves take in carbon dioxide, represented as CO2 from the air. If we trace it down to the diagram, the circle with point number 2 is showing the same. Point number 3. The leaves trap energy from sun. It can be easily spotted with the orange circle labeled as sunlight. In the next step, the plant uses the energy of sunlight to turn water, H2O, and carbon dioxide, CO2, into sugars and oxygen, commonly represented as O2. We are already aware that the sugars are stored in the form of glucose during the process photosynthesis. Point number 5. The plant releases oxygen into the air. This is also represented in the circle denoted as 5. And lastly, the plant uses these sugars for growth. Question number 5. Show with the help of a sketch that the plants are the ultimate source of food. Answer. All the living beings depend on plants, whether directly or indirectly. Food chain is the flow of energy in the form of food from one organism to another. The food chain must start with the producer, as they can synthesize their own food with the help of abiotic components. For example, the plant eating animals, or specifically herbivores, depends directly on the plants, but flesh eating animals, known as carnivores, depends indirectly on plants. The following sketch shows some examples of the plant dependency. Through this diagram, we can clearly see that producers, that is, green plants, synthesize their food by the process photosynthesis, which are directly consumed by grass eating animals, or we know them as herbivores. Then, herbivores are again eaten by flesh or meat eating animals. Yet, herbivores as well as carnivores both are the consumers. Along with big size animals, we have microbial organisms also in our surrounding, which also directly or indirectly depend on different other organisms. Here we can also note that carbon dioxide is being used during photosynthesis and it is released by rest of the heterotrophs during respiration. This diagram shows the interdependency of all the organisms on plants. Question number 6. Fill in the blanks. A. Green plants are called producers or autotrophs since they synthesize their own food. B. The food synthesized by the plants is stored as starch. C. In photosynthesis, solar energy is captured by the pigment called chlorophyll. D. During photosynthesis, plants take in carbon dioxide, scientifically represented as CO2, and releases oxygen, represented as O2. Question number 7. Name the following. Number 1. A parasitic plant with yellow, slender, and tubular stem. It's Cuscuta. Number 2. A plant that has both autotrophic and heterotrophic mode of nutrition. It's insectivorous plants, or particularly if we specify some examples, then it would be pitcher plant, Venus flytrap, or sundew. Number 3, the pores through which leaves exchange gases. It's stomata. Question number 8. Tick the correct answer. Let's start with A. Amar bale is an example of option 1, autotroph, option 2, parasite, option 3, saprotroph, option 4, host. Yes, Amar bale or cuscuta is an example of option 2, parasite. B. The plant which traps and feeds on insects is option 1, cuscuta, option 2, China rose, option 3, pitcher plant, option 4, rose. Out of these, option 3, pitcher plant is an example of insectivorous plant. Question number 9. Match the items given in column 1 with those in column 2. Column 1 and column 2 are given to us and few items are listed below each of them. Let us now straight away match the correct option with the correct answer. Starting with the items listed below column 1. Chlorophyll. It is present in leaves. Basically, the green colored leaves. Nitrogen. Nitrogen is fixed by a bacteria named as rhizobium. Amar bale or cuscuta is an example of parasite. Animals. All the animals are heterotrophs as they consume other organisms to fulfill their necessity of food. Lastly, insects. Pitcher plant is an insectivorous plant and it traps the insects. Hence, all the items are correctly matched. Question number 10. Mark T if the statement is true and F if it is false. Number 1. Carbon dioxide is released during photosynthesis. Yes, it's a false statement as carbon dioxide is taken and oxygen is released as a byproduct during photosynthesis. Number 2. Plants which synthesize their food themselves are called saprotrophs. Definitely, it's again a false statement because plants which synthesize their food themselves are called autotrophs or producers. Number 3. The product of photosynthesis is not a protein. Yes, that's true because the product is starch or glucose. Number 4. Solar energy is converted into chemical energy during photosynthesis. The statement is also correct or true because chlorophyll present in green parts absorb the solar energy and convert it into chemical energy while preparing the food. Question number 11. Choose the correct option from the following. Which part of the plant gets carbon dioxide from the air for photosynthesis? Option 1. Root hair. Option 2. Stomata. Option 3. Leaf veins. Option 4. Sepals. Definitely, it's option 2. Stomata. These are the tiny pores present on the surface of leaves and are responsible for the gaseous exchange. It's the last question, question number 12. Choose the correct option from the following. Plants take carbon dioxide from the atmosphere mainly through their option 1. Roots. Option 2. Stem. Option 3. Flowers. Option 4. Leaves. If you all recall, recently we just learned that the tiny pores present on the surface of leaves are responsible for the gaseous exchange and are known as stomata. Hence, the plants take gaseous carbon dioxide from the atmosphere through their leaves. That's all for this video. Thank you.